I'm leaving my home, and there's that moment where my phone has to transfer from my Wi-Fi to my data as I get further away. So whenever I start vlogging or live streaming, leaving home, I always lose my signal like 20 seconds in. So anyway, hey, all you people that probably aren't going to be watching this because I'm doing this on my Steve from Oregon channel when usually I do live streams on my main channel, because even if they have nothing to do with my content, I know people are actually going to watch it there. But I know some of you closest supporters of mine are subs here. I've got a hefty audience here of about 100 and I don't even really remember anymore. Something between 150 and 200 people. But anyway, I'm utilizing this channel to do videos and updates for my health transitions. I posted a video a few days ago. I recorded stuff for a video yesterday, and it was being a bitch about uploading to my Mac. It just was not, the AirDrop wasn't working. It just wasn't cooperating. So I was just kind of like, it is what it is. I don't have to vlog every day. What are you doing, FedEx man? What are you doing, FedEx man? Just realize I'm coming through here. Easy there, FedEx man. He looked like he was gonna roll. He looked like he was gonna roll up on me. Damn, never seen the mall so full. But then again, it is just a few days before Christmas. Anyway, so I'm just going out for my walk. I'm kind of fresh out of bed. One of the things I've been allowing myself to do is, when I can, letting myself sleep a little longer than usual. It's proven in the past to be a major additional help when I'm feeling wiped out, need to be revived, especially if I'm having fibro issues. It benefits me to let myself sleep 9 to 10 hours on a night if that's an option. So I let myself sleep about 9 hours tonight, but then went to sleep really late in the first place. So here I am, it's like 2:30 or something, and I'm just now getting my day going, which doesn't bode that well, because fortunately this isn't for a few days, but something I'm a little peeved about. So me and my wife, the only time we ever asked explicitly to not work is Christmas Eve, and that is because we celebrate Christmas Eve with her family, and we always go to her grandparents' place. We're still going to be able to do that, but it's our presence is being a little bit delayed, because even though our workplace gives us sheets, request off sheets, we both wrote the same things, the same thing we write every year. Work us all the other holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's Eve. Just give us Christmas Eve off. We celebrate it with her family. We celebrate it with her grandparents. And it's like a yearly thing. We're not asking to be off on Christmas, just Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve's not even that busy. I know that you can schedule other people. So our workplace makes this big deal out of make sure you fill out that request sheet for the holiday season. And then not one, but both of us got scheduled to work on Christmas Eve. So it's okay. I'm off at 5:30. That was why I was even going into this, is I was talking about how I'm still going to sleep around 4 or 5 in the morning usually, but Christmas Eve I work at 9:30 a.m. and Christmas Day I work at 8:30 a.m. Whew! So I really need to adjust things rapidly in terms of my sleep schedule. So I'm off at 5:30. My wife managed to get her shift changed. Thank you, Michaela. So she's gonna be off at, oh wait, there's a button here. Derp. So she's gonna manage to get off at, yellow lights are flashing, that means stop, assholes. But we're not stopping, are we? I know it's a yield light, but it's like, what? Don't act like you. Well, I mean, it is almost Christmas. Maybe you guys do have somewhere important to go, but if you do, Shouldn't have waited so long. Are these guys spinning this time of the year? These guys up here, they kind of slowly spin. Anyway, so I'm up at 5:30. She's off at 6. So we'll still be able to celebrate a portion of Christmas Eve. We're just going to beeline it to her grandparents' house right after work. And we'll still be there. And I mean, I want to say in the past, we usually wouldn't get out there till 3 in the afternoon in the first place. So it's workable. We're going to make it through. It's going to be exhausting, though. This is another reason why I'm really trying to make some health changes. I've been talking about how just wiped the F out I am. I got to work 8.5 hours tomorrow. Got to work 8.5 hours the day after that. Then I have one day off. That's going to be solely a recovery day. Because then I got to be at work at 9:30 a.m. And then even after I get off work, we're going to go celebrate Christmas Eve. And then by the time we get home, I'm going to immediately have to go to bed because I'm going to have to wake up at 7 a.m. on Christmas and go in and work a 9-hour shift on Christmas. So I feel and I'm going to try to pace myself at work. Hopefully tomorrow won't be too crazy. It's a Thursday. Friday's a little more up in the air. But yeah, it's 4 out of 5 days. And it's 8, 16, 24 and a half, 32 hours in those 4 days. It's going to be exhausting. I'm going to have to find a way to pace myself. But, it's each day, again, even just getting into this process of being healthier is a test in moderation. Each day I'm managing to drink a little bit more water and trying to get closer to my goal. I downloaded an app to track how much water I'm drinking each day. Another little side thing to just help me remember to drink my stupid water. And they said based on my body chemistry or whatever you want to say, I should be drinking 138 ounces of water a day. And I'm yeah, that's a nice dream. Maybe someday, but that's not happening. But again, there's a big difference between hitting 138 ounces and a lot of days where I don't even remember if I drink any water or not. So the worst day I've had so far, I only drank 55, 60 ounces, which is still substantially higher than a lot of average days. That's what I'm talking about when I say seriously, I forget to drink my water religiously. It is absurd. So, last night, I did 103 ounces. I'm trying to work my way up to a legitimate goal of 120 a day. But even if I'm breaking 80, I'm still light years ahead of where I've been in the past in terms of trying to remember to hydrate myself. God, I forget how massive this portion of even oh yeah, and it's also, I was about why are there no cars here? But I can see it's blocked off, so I'm wondering, because this area is the area they use whenever what is it, the Cirque du Soleil shows come here, and whenever there's those little sketchy fairground things where they just set up the amusement park rides here and then they're just gone after a few hours. This is nice though. This is a nice area to walk around. I don't have to worry about anybody hitting me because they're literally, this whole part of the parking lot's blocked off. Anyway, so yeah, water, moderation, food, moderation. So yesterday, an example of moderation. My main meal I had wasn't too horribly unhealthy, but it wasn't the most healthiest thing in the world. But for dessert, I had yogurt with some blueberries in it. And it was actually pretty darn good. Clackamas County's finest. Oh man, I can't see. I should have brought my sunglasses. Oh, thank you. And again, chug my water. What did I eat at the start of the day? I had some little small thing at the start of the day, and I just I can't remember what it was. Anyway, so yeah, again, I'm working via a 75-25 rule, where at least 75% of the food I eat, I say at least 75% because then I leave a little small space open to have something that's not horribly unhealthy, but something that's, like your little cheat thing. Probably at the end of the day. Now, I don't necessarily have to utilize that 25%. That's why I say at least 75% is healthy, because, I don't need to have any of that unhealthy stuff. So, if I'm not feeling it and I'm like, okay, cool, I'm not going to do it then. Then there's a day that we went without eating something shitty. And I always have to show off when I walk. I love walking through the really dead part of the mall. It's probably like the 7th or 8th time I've walked through here vlogging. But anyway, so there's that. I just, after I woke up, I laid down, did some stretching, and again, over time, I want to expand the amount of stretching I'm doing, and start doing some stretching that's, also focused on, strengthening certain areas. Again, my objective is to transition from walking back into gradually jogging again. That is a serious objective of mine. That's kind of what got this whole thing going in the first place. And I know for a fact that I am a master of caving after I've been good in terms of taking care of myself for a while. I will validate, cheating a little bit at some point, or having a cheat day. And see, that's the thing. I know myself well enough to know that if I allow myself a cheat day, that's going to start a chain reaction. And I will manage to allow myself a cheat day the next day, maybe even the day after that. So instead of allowing me to have a cheat day, which I know can throw me off kilter, I am rather allowing minor, one-time, small cheat opportunities each day that I'm still going to try to eat if I can, but they're still there. And so it's a gradual progression. And either way, I'm getting to a point where I'm eating, more and more of my diet is healthier stuff. And the crappier stuff just kind of slowly, bit by bit, fizzles out, and hopefully becomes even easier to just cut out of my diet altogether. That's what else I had. Nuts. Oh my God, my face right there. Nuts. I forgot I bought some mixed nuts. That's another side thing I do each day, is I take a handful of nuts and have them, just get a little bit of their attributes. Here's some nuts. Thanks, kid. So that's what I'm thinking about right now, because there's a few reasons added that really led to me starting this whole moderation health change. The primary trigger was the idea came to me because I'm doing, and I'm going to be doing it gradually, but I'm going to be doing a video about my years doing track in high school. It's kind of a personal project, but I'm going to be encompassing a little bit, not too much, because then it becomes a distraction, but I'm going to give myself months to put this together so that I'll hopefully have it done around, or at least it'll go live around late May, early June, because it's the end of the school year. That's usually when track season would end. So next end of the school year for people will be my 20-year anniversary of graduating high school. Jesus. Shit. Makes sense. I was 18 when I graduated high school, and I'm 38 now. So I want to actually post it at that time, and so I can also lean into that 20-year anniversary element. And I mean, the primary reason I'm giving myself a long time to put it together is that'll give me more time to work on it. It's beneficial. It's not going to completely co-opt all my time, so I can't work on other projects. And it gives me all this time to put it together so that I have several months to also be doing what I'm doing right now. And my hope is that by the time I'm not even by the end of putting that together, but you know, a couple months from now, I'm actually jogging um, in small spurts. I might go out for a walk, but then it's 15 minutes of jogging. And of course, hopefully weight loss will just kind of happen with all of this. I'm trying not to focus on weight loss remotely as a thing. If I lose a decent amount of weight, great, but this is more about being healthy, and I feel like once you throw trying to lose weight into it, that starts becoming a really big distraction. You kind of lose focus sometimes on why you're actually doing this. And then it turns into you getting on the scale and being like, what do you mean I didn't lose any weight yesterday? So yeah, this is much more focused on my health and making this a not overly complicated system. And one of my primary objectives in all of this is to also cut back sodium and cholesterol, which I have not been good at the last few months. What do we got here? We got Southgate Street. I've never been down here before. Never been down Southgate Street. Though, or maybe I have. I don't know. I don't think I have. So let's just see what wonders we find down here. We've already got a forklift. It's like these little side streets between 82nd back there, and I know LaSalle is over here. One of my old co-workers, I think he recently became a head coach of the girls basketball team here, which is good for him. I know he's a sports guy, and he went to high school there. Good for you, Lucas. That's my boy. Anywho, so yeah, that's the bulk of my health transition. Slow and steady, and hopefully I'll win the race. Is that a boat? I think there's a boat in this dude's yard. I don't know. Oh, this house has got a sign popping up. Security camera in use. Yeah, a family with a fence looking like this, they would have a security camera. So that's that. So I'm out for my walk. I definitely can tell I'm kind of in the middle of a little, and my fibro tends to pop up a little bit right after I've dealt with another ailment. It's like it's nice enough to fuck off if something else is bothering me, and then when that thing stops bothering me, they're like, all right, I was polite, I ignored you, and and then it just comes back. Sometimes. So usually when that happens, though, it's a very brief flare up. And so, I was sitting around yesterday and I was working on stuff and started just having a flare up. My arm started aching, my stomach was kind of bothering me, and just kind of feeling wiped out. But then the latter part of the day, I actually felt great. I felt like I had energy. I went for another walk and did a little live stream thing on my main channel, and I actually felt really good. No pain, no discomfort. I felt an essence of energy. I wasn't outside sprinting around or anything, but it felt good just to even have that brief moment of energy. So I'm hoping those moments gradually become more common. And see, that's another thing is I want to, hello, Pooch. Hello. For those that don't know, if you're just stumbling onto this randomly, so I don't want to go into this too much because I talk about it all the time because it affects me all the time. But back early in quarantine, when I was out of work for a year, it was late May 2020, I started just having pain, primarily centered in my arms. And it was like a daily thing. I thought maybe it was a vitamin D thing because in the past I've been bad about taking my vitamin D, and I for 4 or 5 years in a row, I developed this really bad condition during the winter where my vitamin D would just tank. and I would just be like bedridden practically, and it would ruin Christmas usually. And it was just not good. So now, even now, I remember to take my vitamin D through winter. In fact, I took like 20,000 units just the other day. And I started seeing my doctor, and he couldn't figure out what it was. He sent me to get these tests done, that test done, those tests done, our tests done. He sent me to another specialist. What is it? God, I forget. I don't know medical terms that great. Is it rheumatology? I fucking don't remember. Anyway, and this guy put me through like 15 other tests, and all these tests these people were doing to try to figure out if I had, anything. Like, they were all coming back perfectly normal, and it just became this process of just going. And then finally, we narrowed it down to fibromyalgia. And I remember just grimacing, like, oh God. And then I started reading more about it, because my doctor kept saying, like, it could be fibromyalgia, but I don't think it is. Because usually because I was like 34 at the time, usually someone that young doesn't get it, and it's more common in women, so it just seemed unlikely. So, like, I would hear that term fly around, but my doctor never really seemed to think that was it. But then after exhausting literally every other avenue, it was like, you know what? I think you have fibromyalgia. And then when I started reading about it, I was like, wow, this is like exactly what I'm going through when I finally read about it. So anyway, I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia. It took like a year because we kept trying to figure out if it was something else. So it wasn't until June 2021 that I officially got the diagnosis. So I've been dealing with that for almost, since the diagnosis, another 2.5 years. And not too long after that, I kind of started trying to do a dietary thing, something to change my health. But it, I did. I was one of those things where I went in like 110%. I was like trying to like not have anything unhealthy at all day. And I did pretty good for about, I've never been down this street. I did pretty good for about a little over a month. And then I just gave out. It was too much. That's the thing. That's why I know, even though I don't like the concept of moderation and being patient, I know I have much better odds of sticking to something when it's not too overwhelming. So, hello, tweeter. So, see, that's something. And so, see, it was the first, like, 7-8 months. Like, I had pain every day, and I think fibromyalgia affects everybody differently, but in my case, I think it definitely flares up during periods of extended inactivity. And here we are, by the time I started feeling this pain, late May 2020, I pretty much had been at home for over 2 months, out of work, not going around because, COVID, it was early in COVID and everyone was freaking out. That was back when everyone was still just saying coronavirus. No one was saying COVID-19 yet. Now nobody says coronavirus anymore. So, I didn't know it at the time because I didn't even know what I had. So I wasn't really getting a lot of activity in. And it was like almost practically every day, this was just killing me. I would have some days where it lightened up a bit, but it was always there. But I was trying to go out on more walks over time, and I noticed kind of early 2021 it started softening a bit. And for the most part, I'll have extended periods where I have minimal fibro symptoms. Sometimes I can go more than 2 months, and then I'll have a flare-up where for sometimes it's just a week, sometimes it's almost 3 weeks. It'll just kind of come and go during that time and eventually fade off. And that usually comes after an extended period of extreme excursion. Can't say that word. Let's just say significant work. Or a period of extended stress, which I had just a couple months ago. My wife had to leave her job. It was killing her. And like, but she was having a hard time finding it. A lot of places were just like really just gaslighting the shit out of her. It was a bus. Yeah, it was not cool. And she just had to leave. And she didn't have a job quite lined up yet, and so she has to come back to work with me because she'd worked there for 7 years and it was awesome at her job. But then, even then, we had to wait almost a week to find out, and it was just, there was like this, pooch. There was like this 2.5 week period of her really stressed at her job, not being able to find a new one, and then her actually quitting her job, and not knowing for several days whether she was actually going to have something else lined up and whether we were going to literally drown with the ship, because I can't single-handedly support us. Same to you, Pooch. And I just, on the daily for like 2 weeks, I was just horribly stressed, like fuck. And once that finally got resolved and she finally got a job back at the theater, I kept thinking, like, I know stress triggers this fibro stuff with me. And I've been stressed out of my damn mind for over 2 weeks. And yet no fibro. And I swear to God, like 2 days later, some of the worst fibro I've had in a while kicked in. So at least I know a lot of the triggers, so I'm trying not to let myself get as stressed about stuff. I feel like for the most part, the hardest thing to not get stressed about is health things. That's the one I have to work on, but in terms of other stuff, I'm trying to just not bang my head against the wall so much. So there's that. Oh, we got outdoor pooches. Oh, whose pooches are you? There's just 2 pooches sitting out here by the mailbox. So at the time of my diagnosis, I was like, my God, my life is over. And then one of the things that really calmed me was when I read about it, and they were like, despite what's happening, like, despite pain you're feeling and all this stuff, like, you're not experiencing like tissue damage and things that are actually like destroying your body, which was my biggest concern. Is like, is my body slowly just deteriorating? What is going on? And it has become something that's easier to deal with. The pain is less than it was when I first started having it. And one of the things is, like, even just with my job, I'm more active. But see, that's the thing, is the last couple months outside of work, and a lot of it is my YouTube. A lot more of the stuff I do is in documentary form, so a lot more of the work I do is me sitting at my computer. So there's a lot more staying home working on stuff as opposed to doing some stuff at home, but also going out. So for the last several months, most of my physical exertion has just been going to work. And I could just feel myself just, I could feel, the fibro starting to bother me more. And of course, you can combine that with the stress I was having like a month ago at this time. Just a lot of stuff. What I'm trying to get at by discussing all of this stuff, especially the more recent stuff, is, especially in the last, 3 months, I have done very little to help myself be healthier, help myself, even be happier by letting myself get as stressed as I do sometimes. But yeah, diet, as far as the diet goes, and as far as exercise, activity, which I love and I miss, and I keep, putting it off. Oh, I was going to go out today, but I'd rather work on this thing today. I'll go out next Monday. I'm off. I'll go out and do that. And then, of course, as we get to this part of the year, sometimes the day I want to go out and do something, all of a sudden it's raining that day. It's like, oh, well, I can't go out that day now. And you keep finding excuses to not go out. So I've done a lot of things the last 3 months that have only helped to increase the chances of random fibro flare-ups. I've been having, and see, one of the things, and I 100%, I know that some of it is my fibromyalgia, but I've had a lot of, like, not really stomach cramping issues necessarily. I've had some stomach issues, but it's more like the muscles around it. I've had lots of cramping issues over the last several months. And I know part of that is not stretching, inactivity. But aside from that is I've spent so much time, and I knew this, and I kind of let myself keep doing it. But, I sit at my, I sit on my futon, and I work on my Mac, and that's how I work on my YouTube stuff. So, which, by the way, if you're on here, this is not my main channel. So if you hear me talking about all this work I'm doing on my YouTube channel, then you look at this channel and you're like, dude, you barely ever post here. Where's all this YouTube content you're talking about? Just in case you're watching and you aren't already a sub or don't know who I am. No, I have a history channel that I do called Steve the Amateur Historian. That's my main channel that I've done. If you include all the videos I've taken down, which I mean you should, just like put over 1,000 videos on there since summer 2017. So a lot of work. But because of my sitting situation, there's been a lot of times where I've sat and I've kind of leaned forward a little bit on my Mac, and that, you lean forward, you start mashing your stomach muscles together. And yeah, lo and behold, shouldn't surprise me that I've had random cramps in my abdominal area. Sometimes I spend a couple hours sitting in that position while I'm editing. So there's also a posture dynamic to this whole thing. So I have, because I'm like, I could sit. We have a little, a computer desk in the corner where my wife's computer is. And like my office chair is there, and like I could sit there. The cushion's a little bit more firm, for better support, and I would be sitting more upright, but it's just sometimes just such a, I don't know, I get restless sometimes when I'm just sitting like upright at a computer. So the futon is just a better work environment. I don't get restless and I don't get distracted by said restlessness. So I'm like, okay, I want to keep working on my futon, but I need to not be leaning forward a lot and just, straining my back and then also mashing all of my stomach muscles. But I also need to sit upright because one of the things is that, the seat cushion's level, but then the back cushion is slightly angled back. So if you're sitting against the cushion, you're kind of leaned back a little bit. So it's very hard in a situation like that to not slouch and kind of like let your body kind of start doing that. So I'm either keeled forward or I'm kind of slouching down. So I was like, okay, well, how do I life hack this situation? So my solution is a wood board, good enough dimensions to put my butt on, and then wrapping either a blanket or a towel in it for, minimal cushioning so my butt bones don't hurt when I'm done, and putting that on top of my futon where I sit. So now, instead of kind of, mushing into the cushion, which is somewhat firm, but there's definite give to it. It's not great support. I have this board there that is going to give me more firm support under my butt. And then I stuff a towel or a blanket between the metal bars on the back that hold up the cushion and sticking it between those metal bars and the cushion, so the cushion gets forced forward. So now I have a cushion more into my back, keeping me upright. And I have support under my butt, so I'm immediately just upright. And it's fairly comfortable. So it's a fairly comfortable scenario. I actually, for all my years of walking like this through school and whatnot, sitting upright, working on my computer is not an uncomfortable situation. So that's my short-term solution. If I had a lot of money to throw around, I'd buy a brand new sofa with the firmest cushions in town. But that is not quite an option right now. We are going to, some point get, I don't want our couch forever to be a futon. But for now, that's what I have to work with, so I have to make it work. So yeah, that's another element to this whole absurd thing is, I don't know why I went this way, because I should start heading back that way. I've been walking for, so let's see, my live stream, I'm pushing 36 minutes. So add like a minute before then, like 37 minutes. So good, I've already surpassed 30 minutes. My objective each day is 30 to 40 minutes, but I really want to get closer to 40 minutes. I feel like 30 minutes is so easy. And I want to try to, when the option is even available, I want to try to do this at the start of the day. Wake up, the best time to stretch, where you get the most benefit, in the morning. Going out for a walk in the morning to start the day. I'm becoming my grandfather, who wake up at 5:30 every day. And then he lived in a Northern California, one of these small Northern California towns where some of those mornings is probably freaking 10 degrees outside, but he'd throw his zipper up jacket on and he'd go for his walk every day, like 5:30 in the morning. So, I don't know if I'm gonna be going out that early. I don't know. I don't buy this whole idea that if you go to bed early and wake up early, that it's better for you. I feel like, it matters who you are as a person. Because I hated working late. I hated working until 10 or 11 at night, because I was like, I'm not going to get home till like 11, midnight, whatever. And then it's like my day's over. So like my whole day was just kind of dedicated to going to work. But now that I usually let myself, obviously I'm going to have to change that for the upcoming week, but letting myself stay up late has, made it a lot easier to just deal with working later shifts, because I don't work as early as I used to. I used to get all the opening shifts at work, and now I get more of the mids. So most of my shifts, it's a rarity that I'm off before 10. But it's like I'm going to get home from work and still have like 5 or 6 hours before I need to go to bed, so it feels like I still have part of a day left. And that makes me feel good. I feel like that's more effective than this presumption that because you go to sleep early and wake up early. I think there's this presumed maturity and like discipline that like if you go to bed early and wake up early, it's better for you. And I'm like, says who? Says fucking who? There's a lot of stuff where people say like this is a thing, that's a thing, and there's like nothing to substantiate it. And all right, I'm gonna try to hustle. Is there a car coming? Nope. All right, I think I'm good. So yeah, there's that. I was gonna talk about something else, but now I don't even remember what that was. Oh my God. Some annoying ass kids are following me. The moment I cross the street, they cross the street. I have to throw on my jets, start hustling. I mean, I kind of want to, because I don't know how much battery life I got left on this thing. I need to get the battery replaced in this phone. The phone still works perfectly fine, but the battery is dying a slow death. And there's barely enough charge in my iPhone battery for me to even have a remotely effective vlogging day. Ugh. Ooh, my throat's kind of dry, probably from all this talking right out of bed. Well, I kind of had a little dry mouth, even though I've been drinking more water the last few days. Again, I'm still early in that phase, but sometimes you pass out, your mouth flies open, your mouth's open for hours while you're sleeping, and you wake up with some dry mouth. Hey, Sunnyside Park Apartments. Me and my friend briefly looked into this place to move into when we were apartment hunting. Before I realized he was impossible to apartment hunt with. That's a story I'll admit I'm still a little petty about. One of my good friends back in the day, met him at work, and we became, the more I look back on it, and this is on me, the more I look back on it, it was a very bland friendship, because he didn't really do much. A lot of the time we hung out, we would just go back to his house, and I could experience his dysfunctional family firsthand. And we just go into his room and watch stuff, and most of the time it was random shit he wanted to watch. His music taste was just in the damn toilet. Like, the worst possible songs that came out between 2009 and 2014, he'd play them over and over. But and I didn't really realize this at the time, he was very possessive of me. People brought this to my attention later when our friendship fizzled, and I was kind of like, you know what? You people are right. What the hell was that about? Anyway, his parents were gonna divorce, and he suddenly realized he was gonna maybe not have a home a little ways down the road. So we started talking about getting an apartment, and it turned into like this 1.5 to 2 year freaking odyssey of just him being completely selfish and unreliable. To give you the abridged version, so we start apartment searching. I remember we spent like 3 hours at a Burger King, like sitting on our phones looking for all the apartments that were hopefully in our price range. Now, mind you, I was making a lot less money. I was working part-time. This is like almost 10 years ago. So I was probably making barely half what I'm making now, working for the same place. Long story short, I was making about $850 a month. If it was Christmas time, I might hit 1,000, but $1,000 a month was not regular. And he had left that place, and he had a job where he was making like $1,400 a month, which is pretty good when you're young and it's like 2013. I'm already making this longer in the abridged version. Either way, what I'm getting at is my options were very limited, but this was his thing. He was the one pushing this. I wasn't pushing him, like, let's get an apartment. Oh, by the way, I can't really afford anything, And he kept trying. There was like this one place, it was like a big apartment. It was like almost 1,000 square feet, but it was $950 a month, which would be $475 from me out of like $850 a month. That would leave me $400 for transportation costs, food, bills, anything else. Like, there was no way. I remember one time he even was just like, just not worry about the money, let's just do this. And I'm like, dude, are you an adult? And so I remember we found another place for like $800 a month. Had all these amenities. We actually had a washer and dryer in the room. I don't even have that now. And so yeah, we go and get these applications, and the lady's like, all right, fill them out quick, because these units fill up quick. So we start filling them up now, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, okay, I'm heading out early tomorrow. I work tomorrow. Bring me yours, and I promise you I will get these turned in. I will take this really rarely running bus that takes forever to get there, but I will take it out there, and I will get these turned in so that we can get it in. Like, I was pushing it. Okay, let's do this, even though I was the one that didn't have the money. Next day, he's gone. He goes on a fishing trip with his dad. He's gone. And he just had his partially finished application sitting there. So you know who got that apartment? Not us. And then after that, he just stopped talking about it. And all of a sudden, I wasn't even seeing him that often. And it's like weeks and weeks go by, and all of a sudden he comes back and starts talking to me about the apartment thing again. We have another one of these long, detailed conversations about what we want. And then, like, crickets for several more weeks. And then we have, like, our third real serious conversation. It's in, like, late October, and we're like, let's set ourselves a goal of being in a new place by Christmas. And I'm like, okay, I needed to get out of this living situation I was in. The living situation I was in was fucked. So like, he needed a new living situation because his parents were getting divorced. But that kept dragging out, and so he kept not having to leave all that urgently. See, that was the thing, was it was always revolving around his situation. So if his need to leave suddenly, he got a stay of needing to leave, all of a sudden he stopped talking about it. Like, oh, well, I can live here for another 3 months, so we're just going to stop talking about the apartment thing. And then suddenly when moving becomes a reality again, it's like, oh shit, we need to find a place together again. And that's no way to apartment hunt. It's no way to jerk your friend around too. So after that third time, it's like our third serious conversation. It's now been like, sorry, I'm having some allergies, so I'm kind of like poking at my nose. We've been talking about this shit for like 4 or 5 months, and still not getting anywhere. And that's when we make this, proclamation. We're gonna make, we're gonna be in a new place by Christmas. And I shit you not, less than 24 hours later, his dad moves out, gets his own place, and he's like, oh, hey, I'm moving in with my dad. So, yeah, I'm going to be living with him for, like, an extended period of time. No apology, sorry about the apartment thing. So, the guy jerks me over, again, and acts like we didn't even have this detailed conversation about being in a place together by Christmas. So, whenever he got something good for him, it never mattered what was going on in my life. The fact that I needed to get out of my toxic living situation, it always revolved around his situation. So, I started realizing this guy is really immature. Like, he's like, frickin' 23, 24 years old. And he's acting like a confused teenager about something that's very serious. He doesn't seem to realize how serious this is. And then he just throws me over every time his situation gets a little bit better. So after that, I find when he did that, like the third time he screwed me over and then just seemed to not care about my situation, I was like, I knew in that moment, like, this isn't happening. I'm not getting an apartment with this guy. He's just too immature. And I kid you not, like, I don't even think it was 2 months later, he quit his job he had with no backup. He did his job because he didn't like it. And he was unemployed for like 6 months. And he made so little effort to find a new job during that time. And I'm like, imagine if we had an apartment together. We'd be fucked. And while he had family options to utilize if we lost our apartment, I had nothing. And he knew that. And then, so we get into 2015, and we're barely talking anymore. I swear, I think I talked to him 2-3 times in like the first 6 months of 2015. And so I get back together with my girlfriend, who is now my wife. And we started talking, not immediate future, but we started talking about, hey, like, we want to move into with each other. At some point, we want to get an apartment together. Mind you, this is latter part of 2015. It took us till 2021 to make it happen, but hey, we have our own place. So we're talking about that. I've already decided I'm not getting a place with Josh. That was his name. And he's been like living with his grandma for a long time, and something happened where suddenly his living situation changed again, and all of a sudden he was going to need to find something new. So he randomly just shows up at work one day. I barely ever see him anymore. He suddenly shows up at work one day and goes out of his way to talk to me and offers to give me a ride home. Hey, Steve, you need a ride somewhere? Hey, Steve, you want to stop off at the store and get some food? Hey, I can buy a few things for you. And immediately I'm like, where the hell have you been all these months? Now suddenly you're my best friend again. And then, of course, as we're driving, he starts asking me about getting an apartment again. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? But here again, it was all about him. So he wanted to get a place with his girlfriend. He'd been with her for like at least 2 years. But she like wasn't quite ready, but she was probably going to be ready in a couple of months, but he needed to find something immediately. And he did find something. He turned out fine. He found some house to live in with some other dudes. And so he's like, okay, well, listen, you and me can get a place. And again, I told him, like, me and Katie are already talking about getting our own place. And then he's like, well, you and me can get a place, hold it over for a while, and then, like, when my girlfriend's ready to move in, you can move out, and you and her can get her own place. And I'm just like, okay, first of all, so you just assume the moment your girlfriend's ready to move in with you, me and my girlfriend are just suddenly that day going to be just set up to move into a place on our own. Beyond that, apparently, I'm supposed to move in with you, pay the security deposit, pay first last month's rent, and then a couple months later, move into another place with my girlfriend, pay security deposit, first last month's rent again, and your girlfriend gets to just move in and take my place without having to pay for anything. Like, it was all about him. So he just didn't. And, and I was just like, no, I can't. And I just was not in a good financial position to do that at the time. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I'm already talking about moving in with my girlfriend. And the reason that's not happening is because I literally can't afford to do that either right now. So how would I be able to afford to move in with you? And that was my nice way of putting it. I should have told him, like, dude, you have been so unreliable. You disappeared the moment we didn't get a place together, which the reason we kept not getting a place was your fault. So yeah, you could see the situation disintegrating. And so he was just kind of like, oh, okay. And then he dropped me off, and I don't see him for months. And from that moment on, I saw him maybe 3 more times before he eventually moved away. And all of a sudden, he's cold and distant. But he's letting me know. Like, I see him and I show up and I wave at him. I'm trying to be cordial to this guy that's been jerking me around. And he looks up at me and he's just like, oh, there's the guy that doesn't talk to me anymore. Again, you can kind of see some of the possessive behaviors. Like, he's talking to me like a scorned ex-lover or something. And god damn, will this light change? Anyway, the very, very, very last time I see him, before he moves away, I saw him one more time after this. He came to visit, I don't know, one of the managers there. I don't think he even knew I was there. And I'm walking down the hallway, and he comes out of this room. Like, we make direct eye contact down this hallway. He literally glared at me and then walked away. Again, some, like, possessive, scorned lover shit here. Alright, fuck this, I'm going. I think this thing's, like, fucked up, because it should have turned right there. But anyway, so that was it. He just walked away, and I just remember standing there. I didn't really care at this point. We hadn't seen each other much for the last year. But so I was just kind of like, alright, that's the way you want it to be, fine. Have fun in life, you fucking putz. So that's how that went down. And then he moved away. And here's another thing. I forgot this, because he didn't move away until, I don't remember. I think I want to say it was like late 2017, something. February 2017, the place becomes available at my friend's apartment. And it's, I spent less money living there in 2017, 2018 than I would have spent, hey, free chain, than I would have spent finding one of the places Josh wanted in like 2014. But, so I post that on Facebook that I moved in. My friend Nick moved me in. Now, Nick is kind of a mutual friend. He's more of a friend of mine than he was for Josh. He didn't really like Josh that much, which is very astute of him. And so not only did I not get a place with Josh, now a little ways down the road, I've moved in with someone that he knows. And you know why I did that? Because unlike my friend Josh, who jerked me around and apparently didn't want to be responsible about this, vis-a-vis, let's get a place with the hell with the cost. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to quit my job while we're living together. Nick was like, hey, we're friends. I know you have a shitty situation. You want to get out. He immediately acknowledged my part of the situation. He's like, hey, we have a spot. We need to fill it quick. You can probably get, if my other roommates are fine, like, it's yours. And I took it. So he extended an olive branch, and I moved in there. And I get the feeling that pissed him off, because I want to say that happened right around the time, I think it was only a couple months after that we had that moment where we saw each other and he just walked away. I think he was so butthurt that I moved in with somebody else, and it was somebody else that he knew. And last time I saw him, he moved away and he came back for the holiday. Hey, it's holiday season. Maybe you'll come back to town again and I'll get to see his stupid ass. Not that I want to. I mean, at this point, it's been years. If he sees me and he wants to bury the hatchet, we'll bury the hatchet. And maybe we can be distant semi-friends. I don't know. He's married. He has a kid now. He could be completely different for all I know. But the last time I saw him, came home from the holidays, came to the theater. There's a guy at work who, close friends with him. And so he told me he was here, and I'm kind of like, okay, I guess I'll say hi. And funny part is, the guy that we both worked with, that was closer friends with him, he was more excited about Josh seeing me than Josh was to see me. He walked up to Josh and was like, hey, look who it is. And I swear to God, Josh is sitting at a cafe table, fiddly-deeing on his phone, and he just went like, oh, hey, Steve. And just went back to his phone like, fuck you, Steve. And it's so hilarious, because there's one right person and one wrong person in this story. My greatest failure, the greatest critique you could have about me in this story is that early on, which, I mean, it ended up being better that we didn't get a place together. But my biggest critique in all this is that early on, I didn't pressure him harder to find a place. When he would kind of ghost me for 3 weeks, I didn't text him and be like, hey, apartment, which again, in the long run, ended up being a good thing. So, I mean, that's the greatest critique you can say about me. And then this guy just jerked me around, turned into a spiteful little bitch, and I did nothing to him. He screwed me over. So I like telling stories like that, where, especially if you're looking at it from the past and these stories that really pissed you off in the moment, you can look back and be like, hey, listen to this shit. Listen to this nonsense. So it ended up being what was best. So yeah, that was the last time I saw him. I want to say that was, end of 2017, I want to say, was the holiday season he came back. I don't think it was 2018. So, yeah, I remember being kind of, and that was, at the moment when he was just kind of like, hey, Steve, I'm going to go back to my phone, you asshole. I walked away and I was like, all right, I remember walking down the hallway at work and I was like, all right, motherfucker, that's how you want to be, man-child. That's how you've always been. There was some spite. There was some hostility I needed to, purge from my system. But, when all is said and done, he went this way, I went that way. He got married, I got married. He had kids. No fucking way am I having kids. I have a child. She's 13. She's small. She's got 4 legs. She's fur covered. She meows when she talks. It's the best child I could ever ask for. So anyway, I'm starting to make my way back. But anyway, hey, yeah, here, a little story time with Steve while he's working on his health, and I'm at almost an hour for this stream, so that means I'm gonna end up walking over an hour. Good for me. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna try to post update videos on this channel as this health thing progresses, and obviously small elements of that will be in the track related video I'm gonna be working on over the next few months. But yeah, and I may even just periodically, when I'm going out for my walks and it's, nice weather outside, not raining, I may just do some live streams like this. Give y'all something to watch. I know there's not a lot of people on this channel, so I know I'm not going to get a lot of views. I think peak views was at like 3 people, which is fine. I already know that's how it is. I mean, this is my catch-all channel for stuff that's not history related. So whether it's a long video or not, all that stuff goes over to this channel. So all that said, thank you for stopping by. I was feeling real kind of wiped out when I first woke up, but I stretched and I walked, and I'm immediately noticing myself feeling a little bit better. So thanks so much for stopping by, joining me on this early stages of this pilgrimage. And yeah, I'll see you whenever I see you next. Take care of yourself.